Part 35. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei-Shi Niang. Chapter 341. Meng Ping stood there blankly, his face pale. Qian Fang bit her lip. She said, "No, I want to find someone to ask." Qian Fang turned around and walked into the Halian forest behind him. After a while, Qian Fang came with a villager in his 30s. When Lu Ligan saw him, he quickly went up to him and handed him a cigarette. "How is it?" Zhang Chen asked. Qian Fang's eyes were red. She shook her head and said to Meng Ping, "Lao Meng, ask him." After saying that, Qian Fang turned around, facing away from them, secretly wiping her tears. Meng Ping calmed down and asked the villager, "Fellow, when we came here yesterday, we saw a large piece of land here." "Yes, there is land here," the villager nodded and said. "Then where is this land now?" Lu Ligan asked. "In the sea, the tide is high now, and the land is under the water. When the tide goes out, the land will come out," the villager said. "Then when will the tide recede?" Zhang Chen asked. "Probably in more than half an hour. It's like this every day." "Will the tide rise and fall?" Lu Ligan asked. "Aren't all the seaside like this?" The villagers laughed, as if laughing at their lack of knowledge. He said, "A high tide lasts about more than an hour, and the tide usually rises every 12 hours. It was almost twice that day. The tide ebbs and flows, and humans are not fish, so how can they live here? No wonder this large piece of land, when Meng Ping and others came here yesterday, saw that there were no plants planted by the villagers or any buildings on it, so it was abandoned there." Lu Ligan and Zhang Chen both felt that they should have thought of it before. They should be familiar with the ebb and flow of the sea. In the past, every time they went to Pingyang and Kangnan in Wenzhou to perform, during the day, they would also go to the beach to follow local people rush to sea together. Those tidal flats are submerged in the sea water when the tide is high, and when the tide is low, the endless dark mudflats are exposed. At this time, there are especially many sea melon seeds, flower cockles, razor clams, etc. They are barefoot and wearing faces. Pots and buckets, I pick them up while playing around, and I always get a big harvest. However, when they got here, they were unfamiliar with the sea in Hainan, so they mistakenly thought that it was different from the sea in Wenzhou. Or was it better, as the fellow villagers said, that the seaside was not all like this? "Okay, thank you, fellow villager." Lu Ligan handed another cigarette to the villager. The villager stood for a while. Seeing that they had nothing to ask, he raised his hand, said hello, and turned back. Zhang Chen and Lu Ligan stood there dumbfounded. They thought this was too damn funny. They wanted to laugh, but looking at Meng Ping and Qian Fang, they couldn't. Meng Ping and Qian Fang also understood that yesterday those people had planned a good time to bring them to see this land. This was a piece of wasteland that no one would want. They also pretended to sell them favors, making them think they were getting a big deal. There was no high tide when they came yesterday, so they could see this land. When they turned around at the three-way intersection, they saw a small river and a large mangrove forest. Now, they are all in the endless blue water. The clusters of green leaves they saw were the tops of the tallest trees, and the swaying tree shadows in the water were the mangroves of yesterday. From the scene of these trees being submerged, it seemed that the place was ebbing and flowing. There should be a gap of 2 or 3 floors. "These bastards," Qian Fang cursed angrily. Meng Ping squatted down, rubbed his face with his hands, and finally inserted his fingers into his hair and pulled his hair fiercely. Zhang Chen walked over and patted him on the back. He wanted to say something but felt he couldn't, so he squatted down next to him. Lu Ligan looked at their backs and felt a deep sadness. He thought that he had seen bad people, but he had never met such bad people as Meng Ping met. Meng Ping was really like a little daughter-in-law every day. He followed them and served them, but he didn't expect to be tricked by them in the end. So many days and nights, so much money spent, but in the end, what I got in exchange was a pool of sea water in front of me. In the distance, the sea is smiling / the waves are teeth and the sky is lips / uneasy girl / what are you selling / to raise your LF / sir, what I sell is / the water of the sea. This poem by Lorca suddenly popped up in Lou Ligon's mind. He thought, this world is really dangerous. Even the sea is smiling, but who would have thought that the waves are like teeth and the sky is like lips? Such a big mouth, how can you not be swallowed by it? What Meng Ping bought was water from the sea, but what was sold to him was not some girl with a bulging LF, but some gentle robbers who even buttoned their shirts tightly, and maybe even wore glasses on the bridge of their noses. After a long time, Meng Ping raised his head. His eyes were red. He smiled and asked Zhang Chen, "Look, is this a sea view? Are you surprised?" Zhang Chen comforted him and said, "The scenery here is quite good. If you build a villa or hotel, it can be built in the style of a stilted building, which may have a different flavor. After all, this tide is not a rising tide. Its ups and downs can still be predicted. As long as just bury the pipe piles and raise the foundation of the house to a high enough level." Yes, if that happens, this bad thing will turn into a good thing, Lou Ligon agreed. Driving pipe piles in the sea, Meng Ping said with a wry smile, "How much will it cost?" Meng Ping stood up, looked at the sea in the distance, and said fiercely, Meng Ping, promise here that I will not let any of these bastards go, and I will kill them." Qian Fang stood there, sobbing softly. Meng Ping walked over, put his arm around her shoulders, and comforted her in turn. "It doesn't matter, we have so much land, and this is not the only one." Qian Fang said anxiously, "I just can't figure it out. What we usually call our brothers and sisters speaks better than what we sing. How come we have offended them and want to trick us like this? Why are you trying to trick us if you can't get it out of the way, of?" Meng Ping said with a smile, "Perhaps in the eyes of these natives, we are automatically offering Dea's fish and meat. If we don't cut it, it will be in vain." Lou Ligon said, "It may be that I'm sorry for your shortcomings and softness, so I use this land to deal with you." Meng Ping looked at Lou Ligon, shook his head, and said with a wry smile, "You are still kind." On the way back, the people in the car were silent. Wu Zaiwai looked at them in the rearview mirror and thought to himself, "These people, all of them are bosses and assistants, how could they be so stupid and be cheated? Wouldn't it be enough to come back from the trap again, find a buyer, and bring him over to take a look when the tide is low?" Wu Zaiwai wanted to say it, but thought about it and didn't say it. Arriving downstairs in the Sanli building, Zhang Chen asked Meng Ping whether we should have dinner together. Meng Ping shook his head, he couldn't say, it would take 2 days. Meng Ping and Qian Fang got out of the car and walked inside, their feet feeling a little shaky. Qian Fang stretched out her hand and held Meng Ping's hand, and the two of them continued walking inside together. Zhang Chen and Lou Ligon looked at their backs and felt that their whole bodies shrank in a circle. They looked a little lonely and helpless, which was sad. Zhang Chen sighed, "I didn't expect Lao Meng to fall so badly. There is no way, the world is dangerous. In the past, one person would be killed in 10 steps, but now one is stabbed 10 times in 1 step." Lou Ligon also sighed. Wu Zaiwai couldn't bear it any longer. He told them his thoughts. Zhang Chen smiled and said, "That's right. I didn't expect that you can not only drive, but also have the potential to stab someone." Lou Ligon said calmly, "If you really want to do it, why go to all the trouble? Find a bank with connections and take them over to see. I don't think the price of Lao Meng's land will be high when you get it. Those people are also afraid. If the trap is too bad, they will fight against you. The assessed value of this land can definitely be doubled if we do some work. If we mortgage this land to a bank, we can not only get back the money we paid for the land, but also make a lot of money. Wouldn't that be better?" "Yes, then what are you worried about, Mr. Meng?" Wu Zai called. This world is so big when you say it is big, so big that the person you want to find the most will disappear without a trace, and you can't find it no matter how hard you look for it. When you say it is small, it will be so small that you can't find it. Every time you go to the toilet, you'll meet people you don't expect. As Lu Ligan spoke, he looked at Wu Kai. Wu Zai thought he was about to get another slap and was ready to dodge. Unexpectedly, Lu Ligan sat still and continued. Unless you want to make a business and stop living in the city after you finish it, you have to understand that when you cut off other people's money, they will cut off your escape. Just wait and see, Mengping. I'm not joking when I say I won't let anyone go. Wu Zai nodded in understanding, but Zhang Chen understood what Lu Ligan meant from what he said about not being able to find the person he was looking for. Lu Ligan's eldest brother rang. After answering the phone, Lu Ligan and Zhang Chen said, Mengping is right, the wind is really blowing. Just now, Lao Xie said that his friend also wanted to start a real estate company. Let me help you find connections to get a license. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Xiniang. Chapter 342. By the end of September, the weather in Haikan has finally become cooler. The sea breeze no longer feels damp and stuffy, and people no longer have a damp, sticky feeling all day long. Lu Ligan felt that Mengping was right, and it was consistent with natural changes. On the other hand, the wind was indeed blowing across Hainan, and the wind was getting stronger and stronger, giving people a feeling that a storm was coming. This trend is the trend of real estate. First of all, more and more people are registering real estate companies. Mr. Xie's friend's company was registered. Lu Yun and his boss also went back to Haikan to register a real estate company. Even Li Yang's company also registered a real estate company. Li Yang's uncle asked Li Yang to serve as the legal person of this company. There are also many customers of Lu Ligan who have registered new real estate companies one after another. It can be said that as far as he has come into contact, almost all customers are either in the process of registering real estate companies or preparing to register. Although these people have just registered a company and obtained the license, they are still looking around at a loss, not knowing what they should do next or how to do it. They just think that it is fashionable to spend a little money and get a real estate license. A sign of strength, it is also possible that you are ready and waiting, so that when the opportunity comes, you will not miss it. There are few companies like Mengping and Lu Ligan who have truly stepped into this industry and have their own goals and projects. The wind is blowing, and Lu Ligan is very pleased. Although most of these companies now have a new company name at the address of the original company, they do not need new office buildings yet, but there are already many companies from all over the country. People came to Haikan to listen to the wind direction and smell the breath. Nowadays, investors from Hainan, Taiwanese, and Hong Kong are no longer the main force, but people from various provinces and cities in mainland China. Nowadays, very few people go to Shenzhen and Zhuhai, which were very popular in the past few years. Everyone unanimously focuses on this on the small island. There are some people who feel that they have not found good opportunities in Shenzhen and have moved to Hainan. Lu Ligan feels that when this group of people actually start landing with money, Haikan will inevitably form a big gap in office buildings. It can be said that his project is just in time and he can already start selling off the planned properties. Therefore, Lu Ligan is very busy every day. While he is catching up on his preliminary work, Zhang Chen helps him design the advertisement. The advertising company he hired has just set up the scaffolding and is going to enlarge the advertising sample on the billboard in front of the open space. Urban Construction Director Wang from the planning department of the bureau called Lu Ligan. Lu Ligan had invited him to dinner twice and sang songs twice. Not only did he take care of Lu Ligan when he was going through the formalities, but he also knew that he was very concerned about the condition of the building that was built in Haikan. Director Wang told Lu Ligan on the phone that someone applied for a project with a 42-story building. Xiao Lu, you are no longer the tallest building in Haikan. Lu Ligan immediately told Sun Ho the news. After more than half an hour, Sun Ho called back and said to Lu Ligan, added, the boss said, if it is increased to the 48th floor, it will definitely be the tallest building in Haikan to keep. So Lu Ligan took Wei Venfang and went to various departments to revise the report. Zhang Chen helped him redesign the billboard. After the billboard was completed, Lu Ligan invited reporters from newspapers and TV stations to help him brag. Their project quickly became popular in Haikan and successfully attracted everyone's attention. QML. Sure enough, as Lu Ligan expected, both the development zone and Haikan city governments attached great importance to their project. Lu Ligan no longer had to kowtow from house to house, but instead became their guest. Sure enough, it was a green light all the way. Strong support. The newspaper office finally couldn't hide it anymore, so Lu Ligan went to the director's office honestly. The director was sitting there, raised his head and glanced at Lu Ligan, and shouted, oh, long time no see, what's the wind that blows you away, came back. Lu Ligan did not have a playful smile today, but said to the director seriously, boss, I came today to talk to you about something. Okay, let's talk then. Sit down, the director pointed to the chair opposite. Lu Ligan sat down on the chair and told the director everything about the company he co-founded. The director tilted his round face and looked at Lu Ligan quietly, which was rare. Lu Ligan became uncomfortable when he looked at him. The director smiled and shook his head, do you think I'm an idiot? Lead. You are making such a big noise outside, do you think I don't know about it at all? Have you known this for a long time? This time, it was Lu Ligan's turn to be surprised. Damn it, I knew about it when your company opened. I originally wanted to come uninvited and ruin the place, but then I thought about it and let you go. Lu Ligan laughed playfully, you didn't make it, are you feeling itchy? More than that, I want to make a little man, put your picture on it, and prick it every day. Come on, I don't believe that only a chicken mother-in-law would do such a thing. You are as upright as a party member, how could you engage in feudal superstition? Lu Ligan said, but leader, please tell me, how did you know? Don't you know the circle is very small? You called so many damn media. If I didn't know, then I would have been in this industry for nothing. Lu Ligan sighed, alas, I still underestimated the leader's magical power. You overestimated your own IQ. Do you think you are very smart? No, no, how dare I raise my IQ in front of the leader? I'm just a mess at best. The director nodded, okay, I'm fairly self-aware, so what are you going to do next? I have no plans to do anything. I promise that the monthly tasks will be completed in advance. I am here to report to the leader today and ask the leader to be more noble in the future. The director looked at him with wide eyes, what, you still want to tread two boats? While being your general manager, building the tallest building in Haikan, and doing advertising part-time at the same time. Of course, I know, now completing that task is just a matter of ticking your little finger for you, but in this way, aren't you forced? I don't force myself. I can often come and listen to the leadership's teachings. I have benefited a lot besides. Lu Ligan said seriously, everything I am now is due to this job. My today is from here. Starting out, I think I am interested in the newspaper. The director raised his hand and stopped him. The director also became serious and said, actually, I know you are a good guy. I know there are many customers who want to recruit you to their company. To be honest, if I were these bosses, I would do the same. They told me to poach you, and they all said that you had a promise to the newspaper and to me. The director slapped the table with his hand and shouted, I announce that this promise is officially cancelled today. If this bird gets bigger, it will always fly out of the forest. I am very happy to see you today. When the director said this, he smiled and said, if you are serious, please come back often. That's for sure, Lu Ligan said. Let's have dinner together tonight and ask a few colleagues from the department to see you off. I'd better ask Xiaoren to help you with the formalities. No need to spend money, leader. Why, he dislikes us before he leaves. As you know, we can't afford the expensive one, so let's all have hot pot together. Okay, everything will be arranged by the leader. The director laughed loudly. I want to flatter you too. If one day this newspaper fails to run, I can go to your place and find a job. Lu Ligan knew that the director was joking, so he joked back, okay, you can go at any time. Your position remains the same. You are still the director, but just the office director. I will double your salary. Real. Of course, once a leader, always a leader, how dare I lie to you? Okay, with your words as my foundation, I can sleep soundly at night. To be honest, I haven't had a good night's sleep since I became this lousy director. I understand, the pressure is greater than Mount Tai. Lu Ligan thought of something and asked, by the way, leader, who will pick up the clients I have? The director thought for a moment and said, what do you think of Xiaoren? He often complains about the low salary in an office and has no way out. Why don't you help him? He calls you master after all. Okay, of course I have no problem here. I obey the leadership. I will hand over all the contracts I am currently negotiating to him, and I will take him around for a few more days to introduce him to some important customers. When Lu Ligan was talking, the director looked at him and kept laughing. Lu Ligan was surprised and asked, why are you laughing, leader? That's what I appreciate about you, kid. You always have a beginning and an end to everything you do. Do you remember that the group of people who were recruited on the same day as you ran away before half of the box of business cards was used up? Only you, kid, finished 2 boxes. And you came and clamored for more business cards. At that time, I felt that you were different from ordinary people. Boss, are you calling me a human being? Lu Ligan said with a smile. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Xiniang. Chapter 343. Lu Ligan went downstairs and was about to go out. He saw Yilin's mother holding a pump and inflating the tricycle. Lu Ligan was surprised. The chickens had been sold out for a few days. Why did Yilin's mother return the cage on the tricycle? Not removed. Lu Ligan asked Yilin's mother what he was going to do. Yilin's mother said that he wanted to bring the chicken here. Lu Ligan asked curiously, aren't all the chickens sold out? Yilin's mother told him that the chicken farmers introduced her to the chicken farmers in the open space next to them. Those mainland boys were from their hometown, and she was now helping them sell chickens. There were also the chicken farmers who had moved away. They agreed with her that they would still raise chickens in another place, and she would still let her help sell them. Lu Ligan smiled and said, then you have really joined forces. By the way, if you sell it to them, will you still make money if the subsidy is gone? Yilin's mother said yes. We sell more chicken than those chicken sellers, so they give us 20 cents per catty cheaper. We also add less chicken, but it's still cheaper than the wet market. Lu Ligan understood that this chicken was not the chicken on Hixia Road, but the chicken on the dining table. For those who visited the vegetable market every day, it was a bargain at only 50 cents per catty. Seeing Lu Ligan coming out, Wu Zaiwai quickly got out of the car, walked around here, and opened the passenger door for Lu Ligan. Lu Ligan was about to get in the car, but when he thought of something, he walked back to the yard. Lu Ligan took out his business card and handed it to Yilin's mother. Yilin's mother looked at him puzzled. Lu Ligan told her that if there was someone who looked like a zoo, he would come to see him. You, just give him your card and tell him that you are my landlord, and Ajeng and I are brothers. Remember, it is Ajeng. Also, if any chicken dealers give you trouble, you also tell them that if anything happens, just call me at the number above. Yilan's mother said yes and put the business card away. What Lu Ligan thought was that since it was Ajeng's territory, there must be his men, just like the strong man that day, controlling the other chicken farmers. These people were not good people and would not allow any people are in their territory, and they do things on their own without passing them. Lu Ligan got in the car and first called Mr. Han to ask if it was convenient now. Mr. Han said he was already up. Lu Ligan said, "Okay, I'll come over now." When Lu Ligan arrived, Ween Wen opened the door for him. Seeing Ween Wen, Lu Ligan suddenly thought of Ween Wen and Qian next door, and felt a little strange. What were these two diehards doing recently? So quiet? Every day when they came back, he was already asleep, and they didn't bother him. He vaguely felt that they didn't even sing or play or make a lot of noise like before, but just washed and slept quietly. When he gets up every day, they are still sleeping. It shouldn't be. Friends bring friends. There are so many people who need to apply for licenses, shouldn't they be very busy now, right? Mr. Han asked Lu Ligan if he wanted tea or coffee. Lu Ligan said thank you and no need. I just wanted to ask Mr. Han for help. After saying that, he left. There were still people waiting for me in the company. Mr. Han smiled and said, "Understood, Lu Sheng is now a celebrity and a busy man." Lu Ligan quickly said humbly, "It's not for sir to help." Mr. Han chuckled and said, "I can't afford to go early without any benefit. By the way, let's talk about you." Lu Ligan told Mr. Han the purpose of his visit today to see if he could help introduce him to a powerful and well-known design company in Hong Kong or overseas. For a project as big as the Jinghai International Financial Center, for now, domestic companies probably don't have much design experience yet. "You are in luck," Mr. Han said. "Yesterday, a friend came to visit me. They are one of the best design companies in Hong Kong. They are a partnership with Americans. There are several buildings in Central designed by them. They are interested in come to Haikan to open a branch. I sent someone here yesterday to inspect it. He is still in Haikan now. I can make an appointment for you." "That's great, I'll treat them to dinner tonight," Lu Ligan shouted. Mr. Han waved his hand to stop, and said, "You are party A. Party A should behave like party A. If you want to invite them, they will also invite you. In this way, at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, after I take a nap, I will take them to visit your company." After Mr. Han finished speaking, he looked at Lu Ligan with a smile and asked, "Are you used to inviting people to dinner now?" Lu Ligan chuckled. Lu Ligan returned to the company and saw Xiao Ren already waiting for him on the sofa in the rest area. To Lu Ligan's surprise, he saw Zheng and two people sitting there, and Lu Ligan walked over. Joking with Zheng. "What, my lord, are you here to patrol the mountains or collect protection fees?" Zheng laughed loudly. "Whoever dares to come to your brother Lu to collect protection money will risk his life." Lu Ligan said to Xiao Ren, "Wait for me here for a while." Then he said to Zheng, "Let's go to my office." After sitting down, Lu Ligan asked Zheng, "Tell me, Your Majesty, what are your orders?" "Brother Lu, you're so polite. I don't dare to give you orders. I'm here today just to beg for a meal." "Begging for a meal? Are you Hong Kong now?" Lu Ligan said with a smile. "Stop beating around the bush, tell me what you have to say. If you fart, hurry up and leave as soon as possible. I have to go out." Zheng chuckled and said to the other two people, "Have you seen it? Let me tell you that my brother Lu is a cheerful person." "Brother Lu, I came here today to ask you to do the earthwork for your project for us," Zheng said. Lu Ligan smiled and said, "It's still early for my project. Even the drawings haven't been released yet. What about earth and stone work now? We have to say it now. It's too late." Brother Lu has already hired him out. Wouldn't that make things difficult for Brother Lu? Ah Zheng said anxiously. Okay, it's rare that you are so considerate, Lu Ligan said. No problem, it's settled. I will definitely give you this earth and stone. Lu Ligan thought to himself, who could he do this for? This Ajeng was still cleaning up the place and helping him. If he hadn't appeared like a magic weapon from heaven that day, Cao Kuoking would have had a fight with that strong man. It is inevitable. Of course Lu Ligan knew that Ajeng could not do earth work by himself. He knew how to drink and pick up girls and play hooligans, and he knew nothing about earth work. The two people next to him were the ones who specialized in doing this. They should be Ajeng's partners. Lu Ligan answered so readily that Ajeng was stunned. He thought he would have to spend at least a little more words to persuade Lu Ligan. However, I am the one who made the scandal, and there is the chairman behind me. You can't make it difficult for me. The price must be fair, Lu Ligan added. That's necessary, Ah Zheng shouted, and another person also said, don't worry, Mr. Lu, it will definitely be cheaper than the market price. Lu Ligan clapped his hands and said, okay, that's it. When the drawings come out, I'll notify you to make a budget. Okay, thank you, Brother Lu, Ajeng said and stood up. Now that you're done farting, let's go. When Ajeng and the three of them walked to the door, Lu Ligan stopped him. Lu Ligan said to him, I remembered. I have a little thing to ask for your help. Lu Ligan told Ajeng about Yilin's mother and told Ajeng that she has my business card. Say hello to your subordinates and take care of her when you see her. Ajeng took out a wrinkled business card from his butt pocket, handed it to Lu Ligan, and told Lu Ligan to show this to others. If anyone is verbose, just use the scale pole to weigh him first. Let's talk about breaking the head. Lu Ligan saw that the name on the business card was Lu Wenzheng. It turned out that this was Ajeng's name. Lu Ligan couldn't help laughing and said to Ajeng, I didn't expect that you are not only the king, but also the leader of our family. Star, remember to bring me a signed photo next time. Ajeng chuckled, knowing that Lu Ligan meant that he had the same name as the famous Taiwanese singer who sang Grandma's Penhubei. By the way, Brother Lu, is this woman your relative? No, it's my landlord. It's not easy to be an orphan and a widower. Ajeng nodded and said, Brother Lu is just soft-hearted. By the way, her son and we had dinner together in Kaohsiung, and he was your guest, Lu Ligan said. You mean Master Wu's apprentice, Yilin? Lu Ligan nodded, and Ajeng shouted, hey, there's nothing more to say. 4 people stood at the door. Ajeng thought for a moment and said to the 2 people, you go outside and wait for me. The 2 people left, and Ajeng stood there, looking like he was hesitant to speak. Lu Ligan said, tell me, if you have anything else to explain. No, that one. Ajeng paused for a moment, then summoned up the courage to say, Brother Zhang, remind him to be careful. Lu Ligan was startled and blurted out, you mean Zhang Chen? What are you careful about? Ajeng looked embarrassed. He patted Lu Ligan on the shoulder and said to him, just be careful anyway. Ajeng finished speaking and left in a hurry. Lu Ligan looked at his back and was in a state of confusion. He couldn't guess what his last words meant. Judging from his expression, it was probably not a trivial matter, so that he was very embarrassed and did not dare to take matters into his own hands. Tell it all. But what will happen to Zhang Chen? Lu Ligan was puzzled. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 344. When Xiaoran saw Ajeng and the others leaving, he came over. When Lu Ligan saw him, he said, let's go, we said in the car. Lu Ligan called Wu Zaiwai, and the 3 of them went downstairs. Go to Wanghai Tower first, Lu Ligan said to Wu Zaiwai as soon as he got in the car. When Xiaoran got to the car, he couldn't help shouting, Master, your company is so impressive. Compared with our newspaper office, one is heaven and the other is hell. It's not that exaggerated. According to what you said, didn't I come out of hell too? Lu Ligan said with a smile. I'm talking about the environment, Xiao Ren said quickly. Do you want to come? Yes, I do. Okay, you do your job well now, and in 1 year, I will help you talk to the director. Why can't it be now? You still have to exercise now. Advertising is the most training job. What's the most training for a person is something that everyone can do, Xiao Ren said. Yes, it is true that everyone can do it, but there is a difference between being able to do it and doing it well. Let me ask you, in our newspaper office, which department has the largest turnover of personnel every year? Of course it's our department. Why? It requires performance. If there is no performance, the director will not ask him to leave, and he will leave on his own. Then tell me, has anyone in our department opened the back door? Xiao Ren smiled. Which idiot would come to the advertising department? Why does the advertising department need to open a back door? By the way, because in our department, we all rely on our ability and our own performance. People who are capable don't need to open the back door at all, and they don't need to look at anyone's face, right? Of course, if his performance is good, even the president will treat him differently. Just like you, others need to report for work every day, and it doesn't matter if you don't come for a few days. Is this because of my background or my performance? You have a shitty background. Yes, I have a shitty background. For those of us without a background, no one can be relied upon but ourselves. So I said that the advertising department is the most training for people. If you can establish yourself in the advertising department, then don't blame me. There are a lot of people poaching you here, so you don't have too many opportunities. It makes sense. It doesn't make sense, it just makes sense. We promote advertising. Do you think it's just advertising? It's not advertising. What is that? It's about promoting yourself, Lu Ligan said. If you think you are advertising, your eyes will only look at the other person, and you will think that the other person is like this and that other person is like that. It seems that everything is not what you want, so you go ahead and do it. In other people's business, you still subconsciously think that you are a boss, who will give you a shit. On the other hand, if you think you are promoting yourself, then all you are looking at is yourself. Looking at yourself is just like looking at yourself in the mirror. Except for idiots who think they are becoming more perfect the more they look at them, most people are. The more I look at it, the more dissatisfied I feel. I feel that my eyebrows are too light, my eyes are too wide, my nose is too flat, etc. That's why women need makeup. They are dissatisfied with themselves. If you always look at your own shortcomings, you will think about changing yourself and adapting to others. Only when you adapt to others will others see you more and more, and then you can complete your business. Wu Kai chuckled. After talking for a long time, you just turned people into pugs. So if you meet someone who hates pugs, do you think he will like you more or hate you? Lu Ligan asked. Of course I hate it, Wu Zaiwai said. Then it's still useful for you to become a pug. Wu Zaiwai opened his mouth but was speechless. Lu Ligan continued. This is called positioning yourself. Only by positioning yourself can you try your best to meet the other party's requirements and correct your own shortcomings. In fact, all successful transactions are about promoting yourself. Look at the same person in the shopping mall. At the counter, they obviously sell the same thing, but why do some salespeople sell more and some sell less? It's because one knows how to sell himself and the other doesn't. No, this one can sell products, right? Xiao Ren said. Promoting products is selling yourself. Products are lifeless, talents are. Think about it, the things are the same. Two salesmen got the same instructions, and neither of them even bothered to read them, or when a customer comes, Just give people instructions. There is another one who not only memorizes the instructions by heart, but also feels that this alone is not enough. She will use her own language to reorganize the contents of the instructions and add a lot of touching and fun words to make people fall in love with her as soon as they hear it. Of the words you remember, which one should be the best seller? That must be the latter one, Xiao Ren said. Yes, the latter one is to change yourself, to work hard to make the unfamiliar things familiar, to get rid of the boring content, turn it into your own thing, and then sell yourself. It is not that the product is different, but it's these two people who are different. Okay, I agree, what you said makes sense, Wu Ziyawai said, and Xiao Ren nodded. Lu Ligan glared at Wu Ziyawai and cursed, "Do I need your approval? You still agree?" Xiao Ren laughed, and Wu Ziyawai said, "Okay, you are the boss, you agree and I agree with you." Lu Ligan and Xiao Ren said, "Don't underestimate this job. If you do this job well, it will be helpful for you to find a girlfriend in the future." Wu Ziyawai was unconvinced again and muttered, "This is just advertising. Does it have anything to do with finding a girlfriend?" Lu Ligan scolded, "Looking for a girlfriend, aren't you promoting yourself? Look at those people who can't find a girlfriend. Who is not a lonely and eccentric person who doesn't know how to change himself?" "I don't agree. I'm not withdrawn or weird, but I just don't have a girlfriend. The reason is that there is no woman around me. There is Wei Venfang, and she doesn't like me," Wu Ziyawai said. "That's because you don't know how to change yourself. You only go to work and sleep, so how can you meet women? Look outside the car, there are women everywhere. You don't go to women, and you complain that there are no women around you. Do you want women to be around you? Climb into your bed by yourself." Lu Ligan scolded, and Wu Ziyawai nodded, "Now it makes sense again, good scolding, you know so much, no wonder you have so many women." Xiao Ren laughed, he was right, and I admired him too. They entered through the door on Wuzishan Road. The old man who looked after the car was already familiar with their car. He saw it from a distance and came to open the door for them. Wu Ziyawai drove the car until it reached the door of Zhang Chen's office and stopped. Lu Ligan said to them, "You guys wait for me in the car." Lu Ligan got out of the car and walked into Zhang Chen's office. He saw stacks of paper on Zhang Chen's desk. Zhang Chen was immersed in writing something with a calculator at hand. "What are you doing?" Lu Ligan asked. "Don't touch anything on the table," Zhang Chen warned him first, and then said to him, "The project is about to be completed, and I will make the final calculation first. By the way, why are you here? It's so empty now." "Shit, I have something to do with you." "Looking for me?" Zhang Chen raised his head and looked at him doubtfully. "Yes, put your pen down first, and I want to tell you something," Lu Ligan said. Zhang Chen put down his pen and looked at Lu Ligan. Lu Ligan told him about Ajeng coming to the office to find him. Zhang Chen nodded after listening. It seemed that all the good things were not without reason. "They used to be because we need to help hold Xiao Wu down. I'm probably targeting your project now. I don't care. Anyway, I give it to whoever I give it to. He is also a friend. This is not important. What is important is what he said to me when he left," Lu Ligan said. "What words?" "He asked me to remind you to be careful." "Should I be more careful? Why should I be more careful?" "Yeah, I just don't understand, so I came here to ask you. Judging from Ajeng's behavior, it doesn't look like he is bluffing. He also has something to hide. What have you been doing here recently? What will happen to me here? I go to work and get off work every day. Besides, even my affairs here have nothing to do with Ajeng. He just wants to get involved in this project, but it's too late now. This is something I can't understand either," Lu Ligan said. "By the way, could it be related to the Jianqiang Jia incident? Then you have to look for Jianqiang. Why are you looking for me? Could it be that the guy who was beaten by Xiao defected from Ajeng and wants revenge? Zhang Chen smiled and said, then I have to remind you to be careful. Besides, how much does that matter have to do with us? 2. Don't worry about him. If you're worried about something like this, then you can still worry about it. Okay, Lu Ligan nodded. By the way, I have officially left the newspaper office. I had a farewell banquet last night. Today I will take my apprentice to visit some clients. The tight spell is gone. The director has cancelled it, Lu Ligan said with a smile. Then I'm leaving. After all, you'd better be careful. That's long-winded, I got it, Zhang Chen scolded. Looking at Lu Ligan's back, Zhang Chen frowned. In fact, when Lu Ligan was talking just now, Zhang Chen's first reaction was, might Mr. Fu find out about his affair with Gu Shifang? But it's impossible to think about it. I would have discovered this a long time ago. I and Gu Shifang have not been in contact with each other for such a long time. During this time, whether it was Xiao Su or Mr. Fu, they were still the same as before when they saw him. It was nothing abnormal. What else is there? The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Xiniang. Chapter 345. Lu Ligan took Xiaoren to more than a dozen companies. Everywhere he went, he was very popular, just like a star. When he arrived at his office, his boss was also alerted. He ran over and everyone was, I really want to see what this newspaper said. A year ago, he was still running around building advertisements, sitting on the bench from time to time, watching other people's cold faces, but now he wants to build the tallest building in Heiken. Some bosses who they didn't know before also had the idea of getting acquainted with Lu Ligan through this. They all knew in their hearts that in the past, they were begging for help from them, but in the future, they might not be able to reach that level anymore. There were also some bosses who knew Lu Ligan from the beginning, and they were very happy for their original decision. Look, they gave him the opportunity at that time. Sure enough, this boy was not an ordinary person, and he was considered someone who had helped him. You have a good eye, right? Fortunately, Lu Ligan is not the kind of person who changes his face whenever his identity changes. When he saw them, he was still the same humble and cheerful, which made everyone feel comfortable. When they were leaving, they all felt that he was sitting here. The time is too short. There will be opportunities for us to get together again. Lu Ligan kept talking to them. Lu Ligan solemnly introduced Xiaoren to them and told them, this is my apprentice. You will treat him as one of your own from now on. You can beat him if you want, scold him if you want. Of course, you must take care of him when you have business, help him just like you helped me. The other party laughed loudly and said that this is no problem. You, reporter Lu, oh no, you should be called Mr. Lu now. You are Mr. Liu's apprentice, so what else can you say? After leaving the last company, Lu Ligan looked at the time and said it was almost 4 o'clock. He said to Xiaoren, that's it for today and we'll continue tomorrow. I'll send you back to the company first, and then I'll go back to the company. No, 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 I can just go back by myself. Master, I can't thank you enough for staying with me like this. In the past, calling me master was somewhat joking, but now it's very sincere. Xiaoren followed Lu Ligan for a day and was very impressed. It turned out that Lu Ligan was so familiar with many companies that he had only heard of by name and thought they were unattainable. He was also surprised that it had reached this level. Coupled with Lu Ligan's teachings along the way, he felt that this work should be viewed differently. You have met all these people today, and their faces have become familiar to you. Next, you need to get more familiar with them, such as where they are from, what hobbies they have, etc. You must become familiar with them. The better you know them, the better you will get to know them. When we are together, we have more to talk about. We are in a foreign land, and it is the most opportunistic for you to talk to him about things in his hometown or what he likes, and you can open up the conversation immediately. Remember, in our industry, making friends always comes first. Don't just think about doing business. The most taboo thing is that you only get close to others when you feel they have business. When there is no business, just be he is a stranger. When you treat others like this, they will treat you the same way. Don't worry about business. If you have more friends, business will come naturally. Lu Ligan told Xiao Ren, and Xiao Ren nodded frequently and said, I remember, master. When Lu Ligan returned to the company, Mr. Han and two people were already waiting for him in the company. Both of them were employees of the Hong Kong P/U0026 AMP, T architectural design company. One was an administrator of the company, named Jin Fuekong. And another is designer Jason. After Mr. Han introduced them to each other, Jason said that Mr. Liu's company is very beautiful. I have rarely seen such simple and avant-garde decoration design in mainland China. Lu Ligan smiled and said, a friend of mine helped me design this. I would like to ask, was the lobby of the Wanghai International Hotel where we are staying now also designed by your friend? Jason thought for a while, then looked outside the glass and asked. Lu Ligan was taken aback and asked, how do you know? Jason smiled and said, it looks like I was right. It's a very imaginative design. How did you figure out they were designed by one person? Lu Ligan was still very interested in this point. He looked at Mr. Han, and Mr. Han said, I didn't tell you, I don't even know your friend. Jason and Lu Ligan said, I rely on a designer's intuition. You may not know that in fact, every designer can still show his consistency, or personality, when dealing with certain areas. This, like many painters, even if he doesn't sign his paintings, his peers can tell. For example, the ceiling treatment you have here and the ceiling treatment in that hotel lobby are consistent. They are not the same, but have the same purpose. If they are not from the same person, then they are inspired and influenced by him, including the overall style. It can be seen that your friend is very quick in his work, almost in one go. His design habit is to first have a big layout or idea, which is the top, and then arrange and handle all the details under this top. And many designers, his plan is pieced together, or connected from here to there, which gives people a different visual impact. As soon as Jason talked about his major, he talked endlessly. Lu Lizang nodded frequently. He felt that this guy must not be simple. People with such keen eyesight usually have good shots. After all, there are few people with high vision and low hand. Most people's hands are not high, and their eyes are not high enough. Lu Ligan immediately had a crush on Jason. He said, it's all right, you got it all right. Everyone laughed. With a relaxed and happy start, the rest of the communication will be smooth. Mr. Jin Fuekong introduced the situation of their P/U0026 AMP, T architectural design company to Lu Ligan, took out a brochure of their company and gave it to Lu Ligan. Lu Ligan looked at it and found that Hong Kong, New York, Chicago, and Singapore, many of the buildings I have read or heard about in books, TV movies, etc., were originally designed by their company. Mr. Han proposed that they go to the land to have a look first, and then Jason and the others would go back and come up with a few design plans. If Lu Ligan and the others thought it was feasible, the two sides would then proceed with the next step of negotiations. Both Lu Ligan and Jin Fuekong agree. Jin Fuekong told Lu Ligan sincerely that we predict that mainland China will be our main service area in the future, and we will definitely take your company's project very seriously. Mr. Han also told Jin Fuekong that if this project can be completed, it will be a huge boost for you to open a branch in Haikan, and it will be the best advertisement. Jin Fuekong and Jason both nodded in agreement. What kind of cooperation do we need? Lu Ligan asked. Now we are just working out the design plan. All we need to do is provide us with the parcel map and the materials we collected on site. Before we officially start the design, we will need a lot, such as meteorological data, topography, geology and hydrology data, municipal roads, water supply and electricity supply, gas pipeline information, etc. We will work with you to handle and collect this when the time comes, Jason said. Of course, there are also your Party A's needs, total investment, unilateral cost, etc. Mr. Jin Fuekong added. When they arrived at the land and saw the advertisement, Jason asked Lu Ligan, "Is this also designed by your friend?" Lu Ligan nodded and said yes. Jason smiled and said, "It's very beautiful, very impressive and very stage effect, but I'm sure your friend has never been engaged in architectural design." Lu Ligan said curiously, "You're right, he turns out to be the artist of the troupe." "No wonder," Jason said, "I said before that his design gives people a visual impact. Now I have found a better word, it is stage effect." Does Mr. Lu understand this feeling? It is rows of people sitting there. As soon as the curtain opened, wow, everyone's eyes lit up. The scenery on the stage gave people a stunning feeling. Your friend's interior design has such a feeling. I understand, Lu Ligan smiled. I was originally from a theater troupe. Are you also an artist? No, I'm a screenwriter, Lu Ligan said quickly. It's no wonder, your play is so wonderful, Mr. Han said from the side, and everyone laughed. Lu Ligan thinks Jason is right. Every time Zhang Chen comes out with a new set, it really gives people a refreshing feeling. Their troupe goes to the same place to perform almost every year, and they don't have the money to arrange new plays. There are only a few old plays performed every year. The only thing the troupe can do is sell some cloth and paint to match these old plays with new scenery. In this way, they will still give people a new feeling when they arrive at the old place. Many people even come here just for Zhang Chen's scenery. Their troupe has gained some fame in the Wenzhou area, and people are willing to spend more money to hire them. And don't invite those grass stage groups. The big reason is that these scenery make their group look more dignified and formal. Inviting them to go will give the host more face. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Xiniang. Chapter 346. While Jason was standing chatting with Mr. Lu Ligan and Mr. Han, Mr. Jin Fuekong took out his camera from his bag and ran over the entire land. From time to time he raised the camera in his hand and clicked it. Shutter. Wu Zhaowei followed him, looking heartbroken and cursing in his mind, taking so many pictures in such a poor place, isn't it a waste of film? Film in Hong Kong is very cheap even if it doesn't cost any money. It's better to go out on the street and take pictures of beautiful women. Wu Zhaowei remembered that when he was in the factory, as long as he said that he would pay for the film, many female workers would follow him. Even those women who usually didn't look at him seriously and thought they were great would temporarily put it down. With my own reserve, I told him that I wanted to go too. A roll of Kodak or Fuji film costs 18 yuan, and cheaper Konica costs 16 yuan. These diehards won't even accept it, let alone the domestic lucky and ad. It costs money to develop the film, and it costs 10 yuan to print the photos. Zhang Liamao, what I hate the most is these diehards. If there are 5 people taking a group photo, they have to print 5 pictures. Once the show comes out, half of his salary will be gone. Every time he pressed the shutter, he glanced here and there, hesitating for a long time before pressing it. How could he click and click like this, rolling the film one after another? What makes Wu Zhaowei happiest when taking photos is that as soon as those diehards get in front of the camera, they basically do whatever you ask her to do. Especially in summer, it's really enjoyable. Wu Zhaowei laughed as he thought about it. Jin Fuekong looked at him and felt that the driver was laughing a bit inexplicably, so he ignored him and continued clicking. Lu Ligan, Jason, and Mr. Han stood under the billboard. Lu Ligan had another question. He asked Jason, "How do you know that my friend has never been engaged in architectural design?" This architectural design is different from interior decoration design. Decoration and functionality are almost half and half. It is beautiful and easy to use at the same time. Sometimes, even functionality gives way to a little bit of decoration. In order to look good, I open my originally 5-foot window to 8 feet. In some places, I am even willing to sacrifice the light and air circulation outside and seal the window. For the sake of good looks, I am willing to use indoor lighting and ventilation systems to make up for the shortcomings. But that's not the case with architecture. Leaving aside public buildings such as libraries and exhibition halls, commercial buildings like Mr. Liu's are definitely more functional and practical than decorative. They are based on suitability and make the appearance more beautiful. Beautiful, you can't waste a lot of indoor space or building materials just for the sake of beautiful appearance. This is one of the reasons that restricts architectural design. Also, buildings are greatly affected by climate and geological factors. For example, Haikan has an island climate, the air is very salty, and it has to withstand countless typhoons every year. The selection of building materials and structural design must take into account these factors. This is another reason. The third reason is that we can only choose the materials and construction plans based on the total cost. You can't say that bicycles are made of spaceship materials. Of course, bicycles are made of aviation materials, but what about bicycles? It's hard to say about the price. No building can use whatever materials the designer wants. There are always budget constraints. This is another reason. What else? It is also limited by materials and construction capabilities. The purpose of architectural design is that the design thing can eventually become a real building standing here instead of remaining on paper forever, so your design will involve the subsequent construction plan, and your design must be constructible. Building materials, construction levels, and capabilities are different in each place. For now, a house that can be built in New York may not necessarily be built in Haikan. Why? Lu Ligan asked. This is what I said. Limited by the material and construction level and capabilities, you can't import all the materials from abroad, that is, imported. Do you have such a construction company that can do such a thing? You can't even say that construction it is unrealistic for companies to hire people from abroad. Of course, in 10 or 20 years, as mainland construction companies accumulate experience and improve their capabilities, including the advancement of engineering equipment, these may not be a problem, but we don't have this capability now. This is when we design. A very important reason that has to be considered is that architectural design, to put it bluntly, is like dancing with shackles, and it is a design with many restrictions. Lu Ligan nodded, pointed at the advertisement designed by Zhang Chen in front of him and asked, "Then what do you mean? It looks great, but given the current conditions, it can't be realized," Jason said simply, and Lu Ligan understood. Jason took out a pen and a sketchbook from his bag and said to them, "I'll work for a while." Lu Ligan said yes, and Mr. Han said, "I saw Jin Shen was already taking pictures with his camera. It's different. That one can only be used as an assistant. I prefer to use a pen to memorize," Jason told them. When Jin Bukong and Wu Zayawai came back, Jason was still painting. Jin Bukong told him that they had all taken pictures. Jason nodded and continued with the pen in his hand. What he was drawing was all he drew, a total of 4 or 5 pictures of the surroundings of the land, especially the skyline seen from all directions, before putting away the sketchbook and putting it back in his bag. Jin Bukong looked at his watch and told Lu Ligan that we were not familiar with Haikan. I booked a private room in the hotel where we were staying. Could you please invite Mr. Lu and Mr. Han to have a casual meal together? Lu Ligan asked them, "Can I invite my friend to come with me? He is in the hotel where you are staying." "Of course, Mr. Lu can invite anyone he wants," Jin Bukong said. "Are you a friend of this designer?" Jason asked. Lou Lepole nodded. "Great, I want to see him too," Jason shouted. They finished their meal. During the meal, Zhang Chen and Jason chatted a lot, and they felt as if they had met each other too late. Jin Bukong probably also understands the habits of Heikan people, and knows that people here always eat more than just eating, but must combine it with singing. They didn't go far, they invited people to sing at the newly renovated nightclub in Wanghalu. As soon as they entered the hall, Jason frowned and said to Zhang Chen, "You didn't design this place, right?" Zhang Chen said no, this place was contracted out, and the contractors would decorate it themselves. They just had time requirements. "What a pity," Jason sighed and said, "if you come, there will definitely be a unique nightclub. Now, it will soon be submerged among the many nightclubs in Heikan." After coming out of the nightclub, Jin Fukong originally proposed to have a late-night snack, but Mr. Han said that his little sister was not feeling well today and he wanted to go back early. Lu Ligan knew that the Wen he was talking about was fine. She was fine when he saw her in the morning, but now she is sick. Lu Ligan thought to himself that there must be a reason for what he said, so he declined and said, "I have to get up early tomorrow, so let's break up. Anyway, there will be plenty of opportunities in the future." On the way to send Mr. Han back, Lu Ligan asked Mr. Han, and Mr. Han laughed. He said, "I can't hide it from you, and you accepted it so quickly." Before Jin Sheng and his company signed the contract, all the expenses for the treat were all. Jin Sheng pays the bill himself, that's pretty much it. No wonder Mr. Han didn't even order Louis XIII today. He said he had a bad throat and only ordered tea. Watching them drink beer, Lu Ligan shouted, "Then why didn't you tell me earlier? If I had known this, we would have bought it." Mr. Han chuckled, "I told you earlier that there is no reason for Party A to treat guests. Even if you invite them, they won't be able to eat well. They will think that you are looking at my face and politely send them away with a meal." Lu Ligan sighed, "You Hong Kong people are really troublesome." When Lu Ligan got home, it was already past 2 o'clock. As soon as he took a shower, he heard someone opening the door below and knew that Wen and Qian were back. Lu Ligan quickly turned off the lights in his room and hid in the door. When Wen and Qian came over, he rushed out and grabbed Wen's shoulder, who was walking in front. Wen twisted her body, shook him off and cursed, "Oh, go away, I'm going to take a shower." Lu Ligan was scolded inexplicably. He looked at Qian, and Qian also scolded, "Childish, we saw the light in your room was on when we were down there. What should we do?" The two men walked over gloomily. Lu Ligan stood there and wondered, what happened to these two diehards? Lu Ligan followed them into their room. Qian looked at him and cursed, "Get out, I need to change clothes." Lu Ligan scolded, "Damn you, it's not like I haven't seen you before." Qian scolded back, "Just stay here if you like, I don't want to care about you." Wen was really too lazy to pay attention to him. She took off her dress, put on her underwear, took a towel and a wash basin, and walked out. Lu Ligan looked at Qian and asked, "What's wrong with you two? You all look like the plague." Lu Ligan had already reached his lips with the word chicken. He felt it was too sensitive, so he changed it to "the plague is here." Qian rolled her eyes at him, "Work? Tired? If you're so unhappy, you don't have to go. Why don't you support us?" Lu Ligan scolded, "You don't make a humming fortune now, why do you still care about tips like this?" Qian glared at him, turned around, and ignored him. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 347. After Wen and Qian took a shower, Lu Ligan coaxed them in every possible way, but both of them ignored them. It wasn't until Lu Ligan asked them to treat them to a midnight snack that the two reluctantly stood up. The three of them went downstairs and out of the yard, walked to the food stall and sat down. After pouring cold beer on the table, the boss banged the pot twice with a horse spoon and started frying their dishes. Ween Wen and Qian seemed to be a little more energetic. After a few glasses of beer and chopsticks flying on the table for a while, the facial features on their faces gradually began to come alive and they spoke more. At this time, Lu Ligan asked them again what had happened recently and whether they had encountered anything worrying. The two looked at each other, and finally Ween Wen cursed, "Unlucky." "Why are you so unlucky?" Lu Ligan asked. Ween Wen slammed the stainless steel plate in front of her with her chopsticks and said to him, "That old man, you're humming ignoring me." Lu Ligan suddenly realized that this was the reason why they had been so quiet these days, going to and from get off work every day, looking so miserable. "Why?" Lu Ligan asked curiously. "How do I know?" Ween Wen cursed, "Damn it, he just told me not to look for him again." "Then you let him go so easily?" Ween Wen sighed and said, "This bastard is so cunning. He told me, if you want to make a fuss, just make a fuss. If you make a fuss, I, the section chief, will not be responsible for it at most. I know how much money you have collected from others. I also know that this money, you have to spit out every ounce. If you want to, go out now and go to the 5th floor to find our director. If not, you can go out now and pretend that nothing happened to us." Ween Wen took a big gulp of wine and said to Lu Ligan, "I'm not stupid, how could I take out the money? Alas, I had to walk away in despair. Damn it, it's so embarrassing. I saw this pockmarked person with Yuan that day," Qian said. "Who is Yuan?" Lu Ligan asked. "We work together, but we are in the modeling team," Qian said. "The so-called model group is the girls with the highest tips at Daowen Hotel. They are not necessarily real models, but they are all tall, beautiful, and look like models. They claim to the outside world that they are models and increase their worth." Lu Ligan understood in his heart that it was not Lao Ma who had awakened and learned well, but what Meng Ping said. Now there are more people looking for him. The tide has risen, and the threshold has also been raised. Many of those looking for him are bringing women with them. Come and embrace me. Now I want to abandon the old and welcome the new, so I don't want to date Ween Wen anymore. Since I don't want to date you anymore, why would I be willing to let you earn the benefits? It must be cut off quickly. How much money have you earned during this period? Lu Ligan asked. The two looked at each other without saying anything. Ween Wen sighed again, looked at Lu Ligan, and said with a frown, "What should I do now? After making that money, now I go to work every day and get this little tip. Why do I feel so exhausted?" "Me too," Qian said. "Do you have any other ways to make money quickly? Could you recommend us to do it?" Ween Wen asked Lu Ligan, and Lu Ligan said yes. "Money comes quickly from drug trafficking, but if he is caught, he will be shot. Do you want to do it?" "Tch, I don't want it," Ween Wen cursed, "a hole in the face would be ugly." "Then you can hit him," Lu Ligan said with a smile. "Roll. It seems that our only destiny is to go to work. Even if we want to be a mistress, we can't find a boss." Qian also let out a long sigh. "That's right." Ween Wen looked at Lu Ligan and asked, "Everyone who rides a big bike is a big boss. How come we are so unlucky? I know you, a big boss, but you are a poor guy who gets paid every month." Lu Ligan laughed loudly and said, "I don't know why I am so unlucky." Zhang Chen finally finished the draft of the final accounts. He put a stack of paper neatly on the table, stretched his waist, leaned on the chair, took the cigarette on the table, and started smoking. "In another week, all the work here will be completed. All that is left is to wait for the acceptance. After the acceptance is completed, Wang Heilu will pay all the project funds as soon as possible. After paying the wages and bonuses to the workers, Zhang Chen can also use his own part of the money to completely end the work here. From now on, Panchi company will become an empty shell. This company established for this project, it will also die with the end of this project. In the work shed, people have moved out one after another. The construction site is getting deserted day by day. There are still some people who still live here, but have found work elsewhere. Several main team leaders have also worked with Zhang Chen. He agreed that when his company is established and he has new projects, he must remember to contact them. Of course Zhang Chen agreed wholeheartedly. You must know that these people are also important assets he has accumulated over the past year. If he has a project, of course he must rely on these workers who have a tacit understanding with each other. At the entrance of the office, on the original Daying Road, the borrowed mixers, winches, dump trucks, and piles of building formwork, moso bamboo, bamboo chips, etc. have all been returned to Mr. Chin and his municipal first construction, and the steel bars and piles piled on the site have been returned. Sand, gravel, and bricks are also used in similar ways. Except for the surrounding partition walls and work sheds that have not been demolished, Daying Road has been restored to its original appearance. The merchants outside the partition wall will go to the gate of Wuzishan Road every day to look inside and ask the old man guarding the door what time it is here. Can it be dismantled? After smoking a cigarette, Zhang Chen stood up. He walked to the door and looked at the extremely busy place in front of him. Now it has become empty. He can't help but feel a little sad. After these work sheds and partition walls are demolished, the place will become empty again. It was lively, busy with traffic, and bustling with people, but the excitement had nothing to do with him. Zhang Chen sighed. He walked back to the office, sat down, and smoked another cigarette. After finishing smoking, he was about to put away the final accounts on the table and go to the construction site in front to take a look when Xiao Su walked in. Xiao Su and Zhang Chen asked why they couldn't adapt to seeing it so clean outside. Zhang Chen smiled and said, "Yes, me too." Xiao Su came over, saw the final settlement on the table, and asked, "Is it done?" Zhang Chen agreed. "Okay, then take it up and show it to the boss," Xiao Su said. "It's just a first draft, I haven't reviewed it yet." Xiao Su took the final account in his hand and said to Zhang Chen, "It doesn't matter. I'll read it first and then talk about it, in case there is anything that needs to be added or subtracted." Zhang Chen was right when he thought about it. "Let's go," Xiao Su and Zhang Chen said. "Where to go?" Zhang Chen asked doubtfully. "Where's the boss?" "He's waiting in the office." "Okay." Zhang Chen stood up and looked at the intercom on the table. He thought that he was probably asked to go upstairs to discuss the final settlement, so Xiao Su had to come down in person. It was inconvenient to speak on the intercom. Zhang Chen and Xiao Su went to the Wanghai Mall in front of them and took the elevator to the third floor. After passing through the cultural and sports supplies area, there was a door. From this door, they went to Wanghai International Hotel, Wanghai Mall, Wanghai Restaurant, and Haikan Catering Service Company. Office area. They walked through the corridor of the office area. The office doors on both sides of the corridor were closed. They walked to the end of the corridor and passed through a door. On one side of the door was a rest area with a circle of sofas, and on the other side was a conference room. Facing this door is the door to Mr. Fu's office. Xiao Su walked in front. He pushed the door open and said to the people inside, "Here we come." Zhang Chen followed and walked in, but was stunned. He saw many people inside the door. In addition to Mr. Fu, Xiaolin and Ajeng were also there, as well as two people in public security uniforms. What surprised Zhang Chen the most was that he saw Boss Lin from the stone market also sitting inside. Mr. Fu was sitting on the sofa, chatting with two police officers. Ajeng, Xiaolin, and Boss Lin were sitting at a small conference table not far from them. Knowing that Zhang Chen was coming, Boss Lin and Xiaolin were all low-key. Nodding his head, Zheng looked at Zhang Chen and shook his head slightly. Zhang Chen's heart skipped a beat, and he suddenly had an unknown premonition. He thought that Lu Ligan would come to him and tell him to be careful. It should be related to today's incident, although he didn't know what it was yet. But it has happened. Mr. Fu raised his head and looked at him and said to him, "Xiao Zhang is here, come sit here and let me introduce you." Zhang Chen walked over, and Mr. Fu motioned him to sit down on the sofa opposite the two police officers. Mr. Fu said to him, "These two are criminal policemen from the Longhua branch. They came here today to understand some situations. Xiao Zhang, you know whatever, just say whatever you want to them." Zhang Chen suddenly wondered if something had happened to Xiao Wu, which alerted the criminal police. Zhang Chen quickly said hello to the two police officers. He stretched out his hand. The two police officers looked at him but did not shake hands with him. Zhang Chen retracted his hand in embarrassment. Mr. Fu said from the side, "He is Zhang Chen. He designed this project of ours, yes, very talented, alas, what a pity." The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Niang. Chapter 348. "Are you Zhang Chen?" a police officer asked. Zhang Chen nodded. "Originally, according to regulations, we should take you to the bureau for questioning, but Mr. Fu said that we don't want this matter to expand and have a bad impact on Wang Hailu. Wang Hailu is a well-known enterprise in our city. Of course I want to maintain its reputation, so I agreed to come here to confirm something to you, do you understand?" Zhang Chen nodded and looked at them, still a little confused in his heart, not knowing what they wanted to know. "We received a report from Lin Zhao, the legal representative of Hainan Panchi Decoration Co., Limited, saying that a sum of money had been embezzled, so we came to find out." "Money embezzled?" Xiao Lin reported the crime. "What the hell does Xiaolin know about money? He is just an electrician, what else does he know?" Zhang Chen looked up at Xiao Lin. Xiao Lin didn't dare to look at him and kept his head down. The policeman opened the zipper of his briefcase, took out a payment form and a remittance form, and pushed them in front of Zhang Chen. Zhang Chen's head was buzzing when he saw it. He knew what happened today, and Xiao, it has nothing to do with martial arts, but has something to do with myself. Zhang Chen saw that on the payment receipt was the 248,700 yuan remitted to Guangzhou manager Pen and his company. "What kind of money is this?" the policeman asked. Zhang Chen looked at Mr. Fu. Mr. Fu had told him that no one should tell anyone about the secret room. But later, the secret room was no longer a secret. He didn't know if he should tell the police the real situation. Mr. Fu sat there, tapping the armrest of the sofa rhythmically with two fingers. When he saw Zhang Chen looking at him, Mr. Fu said, "Just tell the police and say whatever it is." Zhang Chen told them, "It's project money." "What project?" Zhang Chen hesitated again, and Xiao Su said, "It's a project here." Xiao Su walked to Mr. Fu's desk and pressed a button. The two cabinets behind the executive chair slowly opened to both sides, revealing a door. Xiao Su pushed the door open, which was the secret room. Inside were rows of cabinet. A policeman smiled, "I didn't expect there to be such a secret place here, Mr. Fu." Mr. Fu also smiled, "Those who hide treasures have no choice but to do so." Xiao Su and the police said, "Over the years, many well-known calligraphers and painters from all over the country have come to Hainan to collect works, and they all live in our Wanghai building. In order to thank us for our warm reception, they will leave their calligraphy and paintings, and there are many. The person has passed away, and these paintings and calligraphy have become particularly precious now. There are also many overseas Chinese from Nanyang who we receive when they return to their hometowns. They have become friends with Mr. Fu. They have many treasures hidden in their homes. According to the policy, they are not allowed to take them out. If they stay in their old homes, they are afraid of they were damaged, so they were donated to us. These treasures are afraid of heat and moisture, and even more afraid of being stolen, so we built a warehouse like this. The requirements for this warehouse are relatively high, and Mr. Zhang and his company can't handle it, so we entrusted Guangzhou manager Pen and his company to do it. As Xiao Su spoke, the two police officers kept nodding. After he finished speaking, one of them asked Zhang Chen, "Is the money you mentioned for the project here?" "Yes," Zhang Chen said. "Then tell me, why is the payment due for marble materials written in the remarks column?" Another police officer pointed at the payment slip and asked. "This. Also, we have checked and found that the money has indeed been remitted, but not to any company. Instead, it was remitted to Boss Lin as payment for stone materials." "Boss Lin, is this the case?" Boss Lin said yes. "The strange thing is that after Boss Lin received the money, he immediately remitted it to the company in Guangzhou that built this warehouse. Zhang Chen, tell us, since it is project money, why do you do this?" This is. Zhang Chen felt cold sweat break out on his back. The last time Gu Shufang questioned him, he couldn't explain this clearly. What's more, to the police, only Fu Fu could explain this matter clearly. The president came out and said that he had asked him to arrange it, but Zhang Chen looked at Mr. Fu, who was sitting there with no expression at all, showing no intention of distinguishing for him. Zhang Chen felt dizzy. He thought he was finished and had completely fallen into a trap. He looked at Ah Zheng helplessly. Ah Zheng turned his head and sighed softly. "Boss Lin, is this the flow of the money?" the police asked Boss Lin. Boss Lin said yes in a low voice. "Who asked you to remit money to Guangzhou?" "Boss Zhang." "Then have you provided this batch of stones?" "No. No." "Then come here and see if this invoice and delivery note are yours." "No need to look, yes." In other words, this invoice and delivery note are all false. You made up such a batch of goods just to make this money look like a normal payment for goods when it comes to you, Boss Lin. Is it this way? It can be said to be so, Boss Lin said. Is it your idea? No, no, how could I do this? What good will this do to me? Boss Lin said anxiously. It's a sum of money that Mr. Zhang asked me to help with. They are all old customers. Of course I have to help. You don't know what this money is and you didn't ask, right? Of course, sometimes customers ask us to help with the payment. This kind of thing happens in every store we have. The money is the customer's own money, not ours. How could we ask? You said this batch of goods doesn't exist at all. How come there is a delivery note? Mr. Zhang asked for it, I gave it to him together with the invoice. Why not to the warehouse? There is no goods, what should I do for the warehouse? The police officer who asked the question nodded, turned around, tapped the signature of the warehouse manager on the delivery note with his finger, and asked Zhang Chen, since Boss Lin said that his delivery note was not handed over to the warehouse, then what? Tell me, what's going on with this signature? Zhang Chen's hands and feet were cold. He knew this, and it was useless to deny it. All he needed to do was make a phone call and call the warehouse manager to ask, and he would know that this was not her signature. Zhang Chen had no choice but to say, I signed it. Why did you pretend to be a warehouse manager and sign this name? Zhang Chen opened his mouth, but couldn't speak. Yes, why did he pretend to be a warehouse manager and sign this name? In fact, he just took this list and called the warehouse manager over. Although he didn't have this batch of goods, he asked her to sign it. She should also sign it. At worst, someone asked about it when the time came. She didn't take on this burden, and people say that she can just ask her to sign it. Zhang Chen himself couldn't figure out why he was so obsessed with it that he would impersonate the librarian's handwriting to sign this name. Can you still say that this is a project payment? The police asked. Is it a project payment disguised as payment for goods? Another police officer sneered. Zhang Chen was anxious and said, No, no, this is indeed the project payment for this project. I didn't lie to you. Really, there was a reason for handling it this way. Jiang Chen looked at Mr. Fu. Mr. Fu put away the smile on his face and looked at him coldly. Jiang Chen had never seen Mr. Fu with such a cold face before, which made him shudder. He did not dare to say the next words. The police and Jiang Chen said, "In July, you made another payment of the same amount to this company. The purpose of the payment was stated to be project funds. How do you explain it?" Ah, Jiang Chen was surprised. In July, Xiao Su came to ask him to use the secret room as an additional project. He made a new budget and drawings, and signed a lot of documents. Even Jiang Chen couldn't figure out whether there was a receipt of payment in it. Even if they got up, Jiang Chen would also sign as a supplementary procedure. After all, from the book, they had not paid the money yet. Jiang Chen was extremely frightened. It seemed that he was doing this additional project just for today. Jiang Chen looked at Xiao Su, and Xiao Su looked at him with an expressionless face. According to the contract between you two, the payment for the project is after 4 months of use, so this time point is consistent with the contract. On the contrary, if the previous payment is the project payment, it would be very strange. Jiang Chen felt that there was nothing strange about it. He had read the contract with Manager Pen at that time, and there was no clause about payment after 4 months. But is this still useful now? As long as Mr. Fu and Xiao Su don't come out to help Jiang Chen feels that he can't argue. Fake, fake, all fake, Jiang Chen murmured. What's fake? We have confirmed the previous payment. We went to Guangzhou and found Manager Pen. He has confirmed to us that he took out 220,000 yuan for this money and has already given it to you. The rest is the benefit fee for him and you who conspired to do this. Jiang Chen felt like the world was spinning and he almost fainted. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Xiniang. Chapter 349. The two police officers put the things back into their briefcases, zipped them up, and said to Mr. Fu, "Mr. Fu, the facts are clear here. Look, did we take the person away or?" Mr. Fu waved his hand and said, "Let's handle it ourselves. Young man, we must give him a chance. Besides, I still want this old face." Understood, Mr. Fu. The two police officers nodded. One of them looked at Jiang Chen and said to him, "Did you hear that? If Mr. Fu hadn't protected you, we would have taken you away right now and thrown you into the detention center." Jiang Chen looked at them strangely, his head was buzzing and he didn't hear what they were saying. The two police officers stood up, shook hands with Mr. Fu, and told him that if anything happens, Mr. Fu will call us and we will be on call. Our chief said that the matter in Wanghalu is our own thing. Thank you, thank you. Say hello to your captain and director for me, Mr. Fu chuckled. After the two police officers left, Boss Lin also stood up. He looked at Jiang Chen and said to Mr. Fu, "Boss Fu, should I leave first?" Mr. Fu nodded, and Boss Lin stood up and left. When Xiao Lin saw him leaving, he also stood up and wanted to follow him out. "Sit down," Mr. Fu shouted loudly. Boss Lin was startled and stopped. He turned around and found that Mr. Fu was not yelling at him, but at Xiao Lin. Boss Lin quickly quickened his pace and seemed to be running away. Of walking out the door. Xiao Lin muttered something, but no one heard it clearly. Mr. Fu turned around and glared at him, and Xiao Lin quickly sat down. Mr. Fu looked at Jiang Chen, sighed, then shook his head and said, "Xiao Zhang, I still think highly of you. We have been getting along well for such a long time, but I didn't expect you to do something like this. It really disappoints me." Jiang Chen's mind cleared up a little. He was stunned for a moment, then raised his head and looked at Mr. Fu. "Mr. Fu, what do you mean? What do you mean? Didn't the police just make it very clear about this matter? Do you want me to repeat it again? I have the nerve to say it, but are you still the nerve to listen? What's going on? Don't you have any idea? Is it my initiative to get the money out in this way? Zhang Chen's eyes almost burst into flames. He stared at Mr. Fu and Xiao Su. Ask. Xiao Su frowned and cursed, Mr. Zhang, it's meaningless if you talk like this. You did it, and it's clear. Mr. Fu made a lot of money, didn't hold you accountable, and bailed you out. How could you respond, come here and beat me up? What do you mean by rake in the towel? Which thing did I do without your and Mr. Fu's consent? What happened to Manager Pan's money? You really don't know? Have I ever taken a penny, but you don't know it? What a green onion, I just want it, will Manager Pan give it to me? Zhang Chen asked loudly, getting more and more excited as he spoke. Xiao Su looked at Ah Zheng, who said, Mr. Zhang, if you have anything to do, please talk to me and don't be so rude. Xiao Zhang, I'm very disappointed in you, Mr. Fu patted the armrest of the sofa and said to Zhang Chen. But since the matter has come to this, and you have said it to this extent, we can no longer eat from the same pot. I believe that you have contributed and worked hard for this Wanghai Tower project, so I will not kill them all. You have to be merciful and merciful, just pack your things and leave, I don't want to talk to you anymore. Zhang Chen looked at Mr. Fu and didn't understand what he meant. Xiao Su said, I still don't understand. Mr. Fu doesn't care about you. You will leave from here today. Why do you need Xiao Lin to inform you that we will officially terminate our relationship with you, labor relations? Zhang Chen calmed down. He thought, since he had already said this and had already broken up with each other, there was really no need for him to stay here any longer. He said yes, I will leave and we will settle the account clearly. The 250,000, you must cheat me, I agree, give me the other money. What other money? Xiao Su asked. I was originally promised a 30% share after the project is completed. Now that the project has been completed, there are still a few days of cleaning up work. You can deduct how much you think you want, and I agree. Xiao Su looked at Xiao Lin and asked him, do you promise to give him 30%? Xiao Lin muttered something, and Mr. Fu slapped the armrest of the sofa and shouted sternly, speak clearly. I don't know, no, I don't know, no, I don't. Xiao Lin said incoherently. Zhang Chen sneered and said, what does this have to do with Xiao Lin? It was obviously in Mr. Fu's office. Mr. Fu personally agreed with me. I also signed the agreement with Mr. Fu. Is there any mistake? Mr. Fu looked at Zhang Chen and asked, you are the general manager hired by Panchi. You have to share the bonus. It is also the relationship between Panchi and you. What does it have to do with our Wanghai Tower? We just signed a contract with Panchi. Not with you. Zhang Chen almost couldn't believe his ears. Only then did he understand that they were not performing this performance today for the 250,000 yuan, but for the 3 million yuan that he deserved. Why would it be today? When the project has been completed, or even on the day when I have finished the final calculation, this is not a coincidence, but a precise time. Zhang Chen shook his head. He didn't expect that this smiling tiger who usually smiled would turn out to be so scary when he revealed his true face. Xiao Su asked Xiao Lin, Mr. Zhang is at your place, but you haven't paid your salary every month. Xiao Lin looked at Zhang Chen, coughed, cleared his throat, and whispered, it's crazy. How many? 8,000. Haha, it's higher than my salary. Xiao Su turned to Zhang Chen, go out and ask how many people in Haikan can earn 8,000 yuan a month. I estimate that there are less than 100. With such a high salary, you still want to extort 30% of the share. Mr. Zhang, are you a fantasy? Even if you dare to say it, someone must believe it. This is what I deserve, Jiang Chen said stubbornly. Since you are talking like this, I will not recognize the 250,000. I must make it clear that I will not get any of the money that is not mine, no less of what I deserve. Unreasonable, Mr. Fu cursed. Xiao Su took 2 steps closer, stood there, pointed his finger at Jiang Chen and cursed, "Are you crazy about money? Who the hell do you think you are? You dare to talk like this here? I really don't know how high the sky is. Come on. Come on, I'll make it clear to you. If you want money, you won't get any money. If you don't accept it, fine, come at me." Jiang Chen was worried, and he said, "Yes, if you want to trick me, you can do it. I know everything you do. If you don't believe me, just wait and see, I will report you." Mr. Fu stood up in a hurry, pointed at Jiang Chen and cursed, "You bastard, you should consider it a blessing if I am polite to you. Report me? There are so many people reporting me. Who do I, Mr. Fu, fear in Hiken? Okay, I put my words here to see whether you sue me or I throw you into jail. Okay, just give it a try. I'm not afraid of you, Hai Bassian, you are the sky, I will break the sky." Jiang Chen also stood up and yelled back. "Get out! Get out of here, get out of my house today. Don't think that I don't know what you did on the 3rd floor. I didn't humming cut you into pieces, it's already an advantage for you. Get out, get out." Mr. Fu waved his hands and was extremely angry. His anger shocked Jiang Chen, especially because there was something behind his words. "What did you do on the 3rd floor? Did he already know about himself and Gu Shufang? Is it Xiaolin and Kejin who have been secretly monitoring themselves and Gu Shufang?" Jiang Chen suddenly felt discouraged. He wanted to say something more, but he didn't have the confidence to say anything. He looked at Xiaolin. Xiaolin saw him looking at him and quickly turned his head away. He looked at Zheng, who shook his head, winking at him constantly. "Don't leave. It's not that cheap. How dare you be so arrogant? Zheng, if you stop him, I'd better call and ask Xiao Li and the others to take him away and let him talk to the police," Xiao Su said as he walked to the desk and picked up the phone to make a call. Xiao Li was one of the 2 police officers who had just left. Zheng saw that something was not going well, so he quickly walked over, took the phone from Xiao Su's hand, and put it back into the cradle. Zheng and Xiao Su said, Mr. Su, calm down. This matter has made a big fuss, and everyone has to save face. It doesn't look good, so I'll tell Mr. Zhang, I'll do it. Zheng came back, hugged Jiang Chen and walked out the door. Zheng said, "Let's go first, brother Zhang, listen to me, let's go first, can you give me a humming face?" The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 350. Zheng half pushed and half pulled Jiang Chen downstairs. When he arrived at the door of the office, he saw Lu Ligan's car parked here. He was called over by Zheng. When Lu Ligan saw them, he asked anxiously, "How is it, already? Go in and talk." Zheng pushed Jiang Chen into the room, kicked the door shut with his foot. Zheng scolded, "Brother Jiang, are you stupid to fight with them? They are not me, Zheng. At most, you have to fight and suffer some physical pain. They can really put you in jail. It's not like I haven't done it before. I didn't do anything wrong, what do I have to be afraid of?" Jiang Chen shouted. "Okay, you didn't do anything wrong, I did," Zheng said. "Do you think those 2 people are really here for official business? They are just here to build evidence and can get you in at any time. I'm not telling you, brother Jiang, I heard it from the sidelines, you did this too badly. Tell me, which of the things they took out was fake?" Jiang Chen looked at him and was speechless. "As for what you said, in the face of these evidences, who would believe it? Brother Jiang, if I didn't know who you are, I wouldn't even believe it. Zhang Chen was silent. Damn it, can anyone tell me first what's going on? Lu Ligan cursed. Zhang Chen took out the cigarettes, held one in his mouth, threw the cigarette case on the table, picked up the lighter and lit it. His whole body and hands were shaking constantly, and even after lighting it twice, Lu couldn't light it. Lepol took the lighter from his hand, lit a cigarette, took the one from his mouth, held it in his mouth, and stuffed the lit cigarette into his mouth. Lu Ligan took another cigarette and handed it to Ajeng. The two of them lit it. Ajeng began to tell him what happened upstairs. Zhang Chen's face was ashen as he sat there, smoking heavily one after another. Lu Ligan sighed inwardly after listening to Ajeng's detailed explanation. He asked Zhang Chen, "Is what Ajeng said true? Do you really have such a sum of money?" "Anyway, I didn't get a penny," Zhang Chen scolded. "I know you definitely didn't take it," Lu Ligan slowed down and said, "but now, Ajeng is right. All the evidence shows that you took the money. It can be proved that you the only ones who are innocent are Mr. Fu, Xiao Su, and that manager Pan. Even Boss Lin can't prove your innocence. He told the police what he should say, and he didn't accuse you of wrongdoing, right?" Zhang Chen thought to himself, indeed, although every sentence of Boss Lin's testimony was unfavorable to him, from his point of view, it was the truth, and he did not make up a lie. Lu Ligan continued, "But now that we have reached this point, Mr. Fu and Xiao Su will definitely not testify for you, and it is impossible for Manager Pan. He has already testified to the police and will not ask for trouble again. Denied this matter, it is true that the two amounts of money came to his company, and he must have withdrawn 220,000 in cash, but no one can prove who the cash was given to." Lu Ligan sighed, "There's nothing we can do about it, it's a done deal." Lu Ligan said cash, and Zhang Chen thought of something. He said, "I can report them for bribery." Zhang Chen told them about sending 100,000 yuan to Mr. Qin. Lu Ligan shook his head, "You sent the money, and you reported him for bribery. They asked me to deliver it? Do you have evidence to prove that they asked you to deliver it? But if they weren't the ones calling, why should I give money to Mr. Qin? You are the general manager of Panchi Company. The general manager of any company in Haikan doesn't do such things as giving away money. Even I, who sell advertisements, often give it away. They asked you to give it away at that time just to clear up the relationship." Zhang Chen was speechless again by Lu Ligan. "You underestimate them too much, brother Zhang," Ajeng said. "It's not that you underestimate them. From my point of view, you still don't know whether to live or die." Lu Ligan was taken aback and asked Ajeng, "How do you say this?" Brother Zhang threatened them from above and said he would sue them. "What do you think is the easiest way for them now? Of course it is to put you in jail and eradicate the root cause. Brother Zhang, you are going to use these baseless things to stimulate them again. They will only punish you to death." What Zhang said made sense to Lu Ligan. He thought that Zhang Chen's situation was indeed very dangerous now. Lu Ligan asked Ajeng, "Then what do you think we should do now?" Zhang said, "Of course." He packed up his things and left immediately. "I went up and told them that I had threatened Brother Zhang down below, to reassure them that Brother Zhang did not dare to cause trouble again, and to advise them not to push too hard, lest others can't stand it. By the way, Brother Lu, I'll go up later. If you beat my eldest brother, pretend that you are Master Wu and say that you know about Brother Zhang and want to come to Haikan. I advise you not to come. They all know about Wu. The master is great, do you understand?" Ajeng and Lu Ligan said. Lu Ligan said yes. Zhang thought for a moment and continued, "Also, Master Wu may really know what is going on here. Brother Lu, you have to persuade him to stop him, otherwise someone will really die." "No need for Xiao Wu, I will fight with them myself," Zhang Chen shouted from the side. "What's wrong with you? No matter how hard you fight, is it worth dying with these people?" Lu Ligan cursed, isn't it just that the money is gone? Think about Meng Ping, isn't he more unjust than you? It's a big deal that you can make more money after the money is gone, what the hell do you risk your life for? Yes, Brother Lu is right, Ajeng said, don't say you are not afraid of death. I am a gangster who is afraid of death. It's really not worth it. By the way, Brother Zhang, Mr. Fu said, on the third floor of his house, what happened? When Zhang Chen heard this, he was discouraged again. This whole thing was his damn weakness. He said no, it was nothing. Ah Zheng looked at him suspiciously, and then at Lu Ligan. When Lu Ligan heard what Ah Zheng said, he thought to himself, the third floor of Civilization East. Isn't there just that old witch on the third floor of Wenming East? Seeing that Zhang Chen seemed to have something to hide, he immediately guessed something. He frowned slightly and said nothing more. He just felt that this matter was more complicated than he knew. Brother Zhang, is that agreement you mentioned above really there? Ajeng asked. Of course, I've seen it too, Lu Ligan said before Zhang Chen said anything. Okay, then don't be afraid, Ajeng said, you retreat first, wait until you reach a hidden place, or simply return to the mainland, and then entrust someone to come over to collect the debt. Don't come forward yourself. As long as there is this agreement, you will. I can't deny it, even if I can't get it all, I still want him to spit out some. Lu Ligan said yes. That's it? I'll go up and stabilize them first, and you should retreat quickly, just in case. If the police really come to arrest someone, it will be troublesome if they are arrested and then brought out again. Ajeng said that when Lu Ligan heard this, he quickly pulled Zhang Chen up and said to him, Ajeng is right, leave quickly, this is not a place to stay for a long time. Lu Ligan opened the door and Ajeng hurried out. Lu Ligan saw Cao Kuoking and Wu Zaiwai standing outside. Lu Ligan found the motorcycle key from Zhang Chen's pocket and gave it to Cao Kuoking and him. Explain. Pack up Mr. Zhang's things here and send them to Yilin's house with your motorcycle. Remember, be careful and don't let anyone follow you. Cao Kuoking said yes. Lu Ligan put Zhang Chen into the car and told Wu Zaiwai to go to Wenmingdong. When Zhang Chen returned to the room, he immediately went to look for the agreement in the cabinet. After searching for a long time, he couldn't find it. I remembered that I had put it in an envelope from Wanghai International Hotel and put it in the cabinet. How could it be gone? He hurriedly searched for it in the desk drawer, but couldn't find it. He ran to the office again, but still couldn't find it. Not only did he not find the agreement, he also found that even the cash diary he usually kept was missing. Zhang Chen fell down on the stool and looked at Lu Ligan with blank eyes. Lu Ligan asked, can't find the agreement? Zhang Chen nodded. Lu Ligan thought for a moment and sighed, there's no need to look for it. If they hadn't gotten this agreement, they wouldn't have fallen out with you so quickly. They were prepared. From the day you moved here, everything is actually under their control. Yes, Zhang Chen thought to himself, he didn't even know how many keys there were in this room, and he was not at home every day during the day. They came in and out, so it was not like they were in a deserted place. Lu Ligan made a phone call to Ajeng, and heard Mr. Fu roaring, telling them to go to Wenmingdong. They must still be in Wenmingdong. Lu Ligan's heart skipped a beat, and after saying a few words to Ajeng, he left. After hanging up the phone, he told Zhang Chen, go, get out of here. Zhang Chen, Lu Ligan, and Wu Zaiwai picked up their packed things and hurried out. When they reached the door, Zhang Chen was stunned for a moment. He saw Gu Shufang standing in the middle of the stairs between the second and third floors. Holding her hands in front of her chest, she looked down at them with a little contempt and disdain. This posture and expression were just like the painting Zhang Chen painted for her. The words she said seemed to ring in Zhang Chen's ears, you will regret it, I will definitely make you regret it. Lu Ligan looked at Gu Shufang, then at Zhang Chen, and said softly, let's go. The three people hurried downstairs. After hanging up Lu Ligan's call, Ajeng told Mr. Fu and Xiao Su, the matter has been resolved. The man named Zhang should leave. Mr. Fu nodded. Xiao Su walked over, took out a stack of 50,000 yuan from the cabinet behind Mr. Fu, and handed it to Ajeng. Ajeng cursed in his heart, "Damn it, you made so much money. If you give me this little bit, I will also share it with the younger brothers who threaten Boss Lin." However, Ajeng still kept a smile on his face and said to Mr. Fu, thank you, Mr. Fu."